Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw. I'm a transformational coach. I'm also the founder of Embody Me program and the creator of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You may also find me on the yoga mat leading yoga sessions and also running retreats here in Australia and internationally. Here on the podcast, I bring you some pretty incredible guests. We talk all things self-belief, body acceptance, personal development, outdated beauty standards, and we also call BS on the toxic diet culture, accepting the beautiful bodies we were born into, letting go of all the beliefs, and raising our self-awareness. I also come to you from time to time with a little solo episode, a little Life According to Emma moment. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. A big warm welcome to this week's episode of Celebrate a Sister. This is a bit of a special one. I right now am sitting in a hotel room. We have just been to the Taj Mahal. We are in India. And today my guest is Emily Summers. So I'm delighted to have Emily. Welcome, Em.
Thank you, Em. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
So wonderful. So I met Emily in 2019 in a yoga studio I had on Chevron Island on the Gold Coast. Emmy's actually from Melbourne, and she's a fellow yoga teacher and a copywriter and an editor, and has a business with her partner, or her husband, I should say. So she's one of many talents, but we met in a yoga studio, and then we had a lovely little friendship online. So much, you're texting and emailing and chatting away, because when you meet a little soul sister, you meet a soul sister, right, Em?
That's right.
And then fast forward to 2024, we are in India together, having a fabulous time. So Em came on the retreat. So Em, I want to ask, what made you say yes to coming to India with Yogi Louie and I? What made you say yes?
India had been on my radar as somewhere I'd wanted to visit for, I would say, a decade, for all sorts of reasons. You know, India is larger than life in all aspects, isn't it? And so I wanted to experience the colour, the culture, the chaos. And obviously for me, there was the yoga element in there as well. So I was looking for a guide. I wasn't brave enough to come on my own. I'm too old for the backpacking. And so I was looking for the right way to get to India. Yeah. And obviously, as you've said, I had the contact with you. I'm also part of your 21 Minutes of Morning Magic group, which you'll probably touch on later. And so when this came up, that you were running the retreat here, which contained all the elements that I wanted, all of the culture, the sites, combined with your own and Yogi Louie, both of your knowledge, it offers that opportunity for travel, tourism, but also personal development and growth as well. So it was perfect.
And that was very much our intent. Like, we knew that coming to India, you know, I find people who say yes to India, I'm preaching to the converted, I say, because you're already on that path of personal development, self-awareness and growth, which is a beautiful thing. And then put India in that, because it does test you. Like, it tests us, because it's it's so different to what we're used to. But yet there's some similarities. People are people, aren't they? People are people. So we've just been, so those of you who are listening, we've just been to Rishikesh, and we did the Holi festival, which was fabulous, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was wild.
Wild. And for a place that has no alcohol and no meat, we had the best time. Not that you need meat or alcohol to have fun.
Oh, that's it. It just proved it. It was just the joy of life. I was very aware of humanity, and that's that common thread that you just touched on, that everything else can look and feel and smell so different, but actually people are people. And it was the humanness that provided that connection.
Yeah. is beautiful.
Cross cultures, it's...
Yes. And that's the other thing, we will touch on about the misconception. But I did want to ask you first, so far, what's been the highlight for you, Em, and why?
Can I say everything, or is that too large? So if I break that down a bit, besides everything, because it truly is everything, specific highlights that stand out would be sunrise over the Himalayas. I mean, just the scale was phenomenal, and that time of day is quite special, obviously. The ashram in Rishikesh, now derelict, that the Beatles went to. As luck would have it, I flew over here on Singapore Airlines, and they had a documentary on the Beatles in India at the ashram, and I thought, well, this is very serendipitous, isn't it? I will have to watch, knowing that we were going there. So I'd watched that and already had an anticipation, but that just amped it up a little bit more. And my goodness, what a place with presence, and the added bonus of doing yoga there with an Indian yogi was just, I mean, that's bucket list for me. And even if you're not into yoga, which, plenty of people aren't on this tour, but they've dabbled. So you don't need to be a proficient yoga person to enjoy this. Just that experience is out of this world. It really is. And the other thing I wanted to touch on was we did Rishikesh is on the banks of the Ganges, which I actually felt hugely emotional seeing for the first time. I actually welled up, which took me quite by surprise. I mean, it's a fabled, mighty river, isn't it? With all sorts of connotations. And seeing it really took my breath away. It really is magnificent. And we participated in a daily ceremony, Atri, to banish the darkness, that means. And so I went along thinking, I don't know, we might float some stuff down the river, we might burn some incense. And anyway, it was this huge spectacle. We were there on Holi as well, which is annual event, Festival of Spring, New Year's Day. There's various interpretations, isn't there? Yeah. So it was extremely well attended. Whether it's like that every night, I think it possibly is. But an incredible ceremony that built in intensity. We got there before the sun went down, and the priests were on the edge of the Ganges, and then there was bells, there was incense, there was flames and smoke that tapered up into the sky, live music, Indian music with the singing, harmonium, people up dancing, knowing the words, all these beautiful hand and wrist movements that, this culture can do so beautifully. And then at the end, it was like a massive party, wasn't it? It so just joyful. Went off. Yeah. And we were invited to dance by lots of Indians. Everyone was so incredibly welcoming. Priests were offering us the I don't know, ceremonial markings on the forehead, blessings, and without any alcohol. And the atmosphere, it just turbocharged. And I think all of us were just blown away by the joy, the pure joy. And it was young and old, tiny children to grandparents, and everyone in between.
It was the joy was palpable almost, wasn't it? It was this energy in the air and this absolute laughter. There was not a person there without a smile on their face. Oh my God. It was a real highlight. I mean, I'm a bit like you. It's really hard to pinpoint a highlight thus far, but that was it, like that energy. And even how we left, and look, make no mistake, the traffic here is bedlam. The honking of the horns is real, but we also left with pretty much ease in the chaos. Was it?
We did.
And a funny little thing, we had to put our shoes, because you didn't wear shoes in, so we had to put our shoes, and all of the shoes came out. We're thinking we're never going to see those shoes again because there's a lot of people. And then everyone's shoes come back, apart from Bromwell was missing one shoe. but we found it. It was found. That was quite fun. But it was a pretty incredible experience. And like you said, Em, I think they did say that they do that
twice a day.
Twice a day, with that absolute joy, that music, that connection, ritual, that coming together of ritual.
That is a big word in India.
Yeah, isn't it?
It is. There is so much of it.
Yeah.
And I was reflecting, I don't have a cultural reference point for what we experienced that night.
Oh.
I don't have a context in our culture where I can say, oh, it's similar to, because it just isn't.
No.
I've not felt anything like that in a family orientated, substance-free environment.
Yeah. Because I want to say that the smoking and the fire and the almost like the incense, the smoke thing, I'm going, well, the Catholics will do a little bit of that.
Bells and smells.
But then we have the Pentecostal church will do lots of music and dancing.
Yes.
But no one does the Ganges where you light your little offering and float it down the river. I could kind of pull some bits, but no one has it all or in a rhythm or in an energy of that, what we experienced. It was fabulous. It was
breathtaking.
Yeah.
And I think we all left just on a high of life.
Yes, and gratitude. So much gratitude.
Deep gratitude and joy.
So beautiful. So Em, I also wanted to ask you, what have you enjoyed about the Indian culture?
Colour is the first word that comes to mind. You come with the idea, you've seen the images of the textiles and the buildings, and that is real. Mm-hmm. That's very real. We were just chatting earlier, weren't we, how we did a walk down from the Himalayan temple that I mentioned earlier, where we saw the sunrise. And even in agricultural, remote, I wouldn't even call them villages, a few houses strung together, the women with their machetes carrying their bundles of hay, grass on their foreheads, are rocking, as I said, the raspberry and scarlet outfits, totally owning it, and looking just vibrant. And that's just their work gear, and no one's looking. That is just a day, a work-a-day outfit.
Yeah.
And then obviously we were at the Taj Mahal today, and everybody's in their finest. And my goodness me, the shot silks and the, just breathtaking.
I think Indian women have style and grace and pizzazz. There is a real loveliness. They are groomed beautifully. And for a very dusty place, there's a lot of dust, and you're walking along the street and the path isn't always there, and there's a lot of pollution with the tuk-tuks and the cars and the buses, but they are pristine. Yeah. And their clothing is just beautiful. Like I bought a black dress. I almost put I can't even wear a black dress. You would be so, can you imagine wearing a black dress here? You'd be so out of place.
Haven't seen anyone in black.
No one in black. No one in black.
Dude, there's a real celebration and joy, again, that word, in colour. Is a form of self-expression. It's an interesting concept. That would be something I'd like to dig into deeper. Why the colour? I wonder how that has come into being. Yeah, that's an interesting question to ponder. And off the back of the colour, there's the food is the other vibrant. It is a delight. It's that sensory experience. You have the colour, visuals, and then you have the food, which is just as colourful in terms of flavour explosions, isn't it? And it's just divine.
Yes, the wholesome and the nourishment that you feel from this food.
Yes, that's a good point, actually. Nourishment is a great word. Sustaining,
yes. Culturally, from their clothing, their colour to their food, it really is an experience. Such a fabulous experience. So I also want to ask him, from your perspective, what misconceptions do you feel there are around travelling to India? Because I know I certainly had some, and I've heard a lot, and particularly putting the retreat out and saying to people who'd like to come to India, I had two reactions. There's the hell yes and the hell no. It's like
it's polarizing.
It is. I do not believe you can sit in the middle with India. You cannot have one foot in or one foot out. It's a hell yes or a hell no. But there is some misconceptions, I believe. What do you think?
Yes, I do think so, for sure. I've been quite surprised, and we've also had the joy of on the retreat here. We have a constant tour guide, Indian, who fills us in on the background as we go along, and so he can share and impart knowledge besides the observations that we make, obviously from our tourist perspective. Even though we're getting amongst it, he can actually dig much deeper into meaty topics and explain why things are as they are. So a misconception that I have sort of tossed to one side is that, I mean, the infrastructure here, yes, it's wobbly and dusty, but it has become apparent that internet and paying, even for street food, even if you want an onion pakora for kind of, 25 cents equivalent, you can just tap that on a QR code. That even the street vendors on their carts are wired up digitally to take electronic payments. Yeah. And the same thing, we were up on, again, I'll reference that temple on the top of the Himalayas. I had total 4G up there.
Yes.
So the coverage in terms of payments, internet, has been really beyond anything I could have expected.
Yeah, I agree.
So I do think digitally, and our guide has been explaining to us the investment that the Indian government has seen is crucial for the expansion and quality of life for people and connectivity. Yeah. Big push around education as well, and female empowerment and female education. So we have seen at the Taj Mahal today women police officers.
Yes.
So women in what you would think of as very male dominated, and I'm sure they are still very male dominated, but there's obviously a push to get women into maybe areas that were previously no-nos or very difficult to get into. So again, our guide has made us aware that this is a push to provide girls with laptops to go to school, and toilets, because toilets at schools apparently were not all that common, and girls, obviously, he said, at certain times of the month need access to facilities. So that it's changing. There is a definite change for progress and for inclusion in India.
And also the free buses was interesting, I thought, too. All girls, I think it's girls, and I'm sure it's women as well, get free bus rides. So that's fabulous too. Hannah was letting me know she'd done a little bit of research. So that is very progressive for women, and it feels like they're definitely wanting to raise the women up, as opposed to what's happened in the past where women have not been celebrated at all.
Agree.
So it's shifting, which is wonderful to see. And yeah, it is great to see this connecting them. They were talking about the bank accounts too.
Yes. All
Indian people getting bank accounts. How wonderful. And they said about bank charges, if you've got zero fee, you still don't get charged. So there's obviously some great movement happening in India, which is wonderful to see. It gives people a go, doesn't it? Because what was the population?
1.4 billion.
1.4 billion. That's just phenomenal.
I don't even know how many zeros that is.
No, me neither.
A lot.
Yeah. Wow.
And one other thing, actually, I will touch on just before you move on is the level of respect, actually, even as a woman, that I have felt and been on the end of from the people that we've come into contact with. It's quite obvious that there's definitely, they have a phrase that guest is God, right? Because you never know what form God will come and visit. Again, this lovely reference to ritual all the time in the culture here. And so it's very important to be welcoming to guests because you don't know who they are. And obviously there's that more spiritual reference behind that it could be an embodiment of a god. But I think they also are very aware, and we've been made aware, that tourism is a significant part of the economy now. And so on top of that traditional welcoming, which I do feel is very genuine, there's a real life awareness that, you know, we bring all the benefits of tourism with us.
Yeah.
And they're very open and respectful to that. And the men that I have encountered have certainly been very respectful. It's interesting because I've learned that you don't always get eye contact or a smile off some. Some you do, but it's that cultural difference where we would make contact and smile with a stranger.
Yeah.
Even of the opposite sex, whereas it was explained here that men will not do that perhaps with us as women because it can be a sign of some romantic interest.
Yeah.
And so that's a level of respect that there is. I've realised, and I thought it was a bit of a rebuff, you know, that actually it's not, though. Now you understand.
Yeah.
It's actually that they just don't want any misunderstandings.
Yeah.
So it's a respectful thing again.
Yeah.
So I feel that is definitely not something I was expecting, but is a thing here.
Yeah. And from our perspective, Yogi Lou and I organising this, they cannot do enough for us. You know, I mean, particularly there's been a few moving pieces. We've had a bit of a laugh, haven't we, Em, actually, because timing has sometimes been a little bit off. We're calling it Indian hours now. Our 1 hour is maybe 2 hours Indian, and kilometres, you know, we're here or there.
It's loose, isn't it?
It's very loose, and that's okay. But, you know, things that I'm asking last minute, or not so much last minute, but, can we experience that? They cannot do enough for us to make that happen, which is tremendous. For instance, the yoga at the ashram, I said, can we do yoga at the ashram? Yes, we can. And then, you know, hours later, we've got a yoga teacher and we're on. So it was, I mean, that was tremendous, because that was a highlight also for me, was the yoga in the ashram, which was tremendous. And then even the doctor, one of the ladies needed to see a doctor because she'd fallen over, and the doctor was here. I asked our tour guide if he could get a doctor. Within 15 minutes, he had a doctor. 10 minutes later, the doctor was here at the hotel, and it was not costly and all sorted for her injury. Like, tremendous, you know, incredible.
And these are not things that you would think India could pull off.
No, not that quick.
No.
So it's been wonderful. Have you felt safe?
I have felt safe.
Yeah.
I have felt safe.
Yes.
I think, I mean, the benefit of coming to India in this container that you have created is one of the reasons I wanted to, because, and I mean, we are here as women, just women. And that's, you know, that's another thing, that we are 13, aren't we, including you and Yogi Louie on this trip. So, we are women only. And I have not felt unsafe at any stage because it's been planned by you both, obviously, very well. And we have our wonderful guide with us, and then we pick up a local who's with us constantly, and then we pick up a local guide as we move along, don't we, from perhaps a little bit more in-depth local knowledge. So that is a wonderful way to see whilst removing the stress, because you don't have to fend for yourself. No. And I think when you do that, when you go to be a tourist anywhere where it is quite a different cultural setup from your own, you can feel a little bit on edge, not necessarily because it's unsafe, but because you can't speak the language, you don't know whether you should be tipping, you don't know how to get from A to B, you're not quite sure what the food is. All of those things put you on edge, right? Because you're not quite sure how to navigate this. Yeah. But that would happen in, you know, wherever, not an Indian thing. No. It's whenever you're out of your postcode or, you know, country, let's say, and it's a foreign language. Yes. So I haven't felt unsafe at all. No, it's been great. And this is a wonderful way to experience everything without having to negotiate and navigate all of those unknowns.
I've enjoyed that too, having our tour guide with us, stuff exactly like that. Do we tip? Don't we tip? How much do we tip? What do we do here? Where do we go there? So that's been great, just that local knowledge, because you don't want to offend anyone, and you don't want to go, oh gosh, I didn't know we were supposed to do that, or we were to do that. So that's been really nice, that little cultural navigation. It's been wonderful. So Em, if anyone was considering joining Yogi Louie and I, because I'm pretty positive, I'm pretty positive Yogi Lou and I will be returning to India in the near future. If anyone was thinking joining our retreat, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say absolutely. Jump in with both feet. I'm traveling alone, so I haven't come with anyone. I just thought, I'm going to be brave. This is something I want to do. I'm just going to put myself out there. I've also got some dietary requirements. I'm gluten-free and dairy-free. And, I thought that's always can be a little bit of a challenge. So I thought, okay, I could stay in my own little known bubble, but I thought there's a world out there. And this is a wonderful way to experience somewhere completely different within a very safe and comfortable way of doing it. We've been staying in very nice accommodation. We have, as I say, local knowledge all the time, so we don't have to work things out. So you can relax. Yeah. So whilst we are visiting so many amazing places, all of the nuts and bolts is figured out. So you can just enjoy the journey without having to figure it out, which is terrific. Yes. And I feel that from a personal development perspective, as I say, I chose your retreat specifically because of the added dimension of you've run some beautiful workshops. We've done 21 minutes of morning magic by the Ganges, sunrise. Yogi Louie's done a couple of beautiful yoga sessions. We had a lovely opening ceremony, all dressed in white.
Yes, good.
Sat in circle. Some really special moments on top of but in this amazing environment. And so it's an all-encompassing experience, and I just feel that it is revitalizing and reinvigorating my joy for life. It is certainly bringing me back to myself, to who I am, rather than wife, mother, employee, worker, cleaner, house tidier-upper. Everything that we have to do, this is time for me to just embrace and rediscover who I am. I'm like, oh, there she is.
Yes.
She's back.
Yes.
So there's this wonderful bubbling up of self once again.
It's beautiful.
Which is a joy.
Yeah.
And that's so important, particularly as women, when we serve so many other people and meet their needs, that we fill our own cup too.
Yeah. And even talking about the things that you've loved about India, the colour, the food, the experiences you've had. And exactly that, there she is again. Oh, that's what I do like. That's what I want to explore more. We do get caught in our role, and we forget to come back to, we've forgotten what even we like or we don't like. So opening your mind. And I often think that, yes, we can stay in our little bubble, we can stay in our postcode, but it's not mind-opening. Your world can become very small. It can become, particularly when we're in that mother role time of life, when we are head down, tail up. Even when the kids get to teens, if we don't consciously move into our MAGA phase, we stay in mother phase, our world becomes quite small. And then we're relying, and speaking from my own experience, from time to time relying on other people to fill my bucket of happiness instead of going, hang on a minute, what do I actually want? What do I like? And if I've forgotten, go out and find it. And I think India is a little bit of that too, finding exactly what you said. There she is, finding yourself again, seeing things that light you up or you don't like, you do like. It's beautiful. Such an opening.
It is. And I've noticed actually a transition from leaving Melbourne to coming here. The first 24 hours, I felt a little bit wobbly. Yeah. I sort of had a little bit of like, ooh, this is, I just felt, because I was out of my comfort zone and out of my routine and out of wearing all of those hats and roles, that for the first 24 hours, I could feel, it's like someone had shaken a snow globe and all of those kind of emotions. And I was like, ooh, this is a lot to kind of process here. Yeah. I'm here on my own, without my husband. I'm not, fielding the kids. I'm not doing my work here. And everything's new, traveling with people I don't know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to process. And then I could feel the snowflakes settling in the globe. And now, and it didn't take long, but it was a solid 24 hours where I just thought, all right, just hold on.
Yeah.
Just hold on. And you'll come through back to yourself again. And that it's very much that return to self that has a process, that there's a little rebirth that happened in there of me going, oh, where am I? Having to kind of blow the dust off all those layers that I have added for everyone else, and just life, life's busy, isn't it, for all of us, to blow off the dust and go, what's at the bottom of all this? Where am I? And that little rebirth of, she's still there, nurture, and then stepping into now, very comfortable, embracing the whole journey now, loving the adventure, loving it, absolutely loving it.
So wonderful.
Striking up, now as a group, we're really nicely bonded.
Yes.
Everybody gets, we've all look out for each other. It's great, very supportive group.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's become a nice little family now as we journey from place to place, absorbing all of these amazing experiences in all the senses. And I feel this delight in my own flame reigniting.
Beautiful. That is such a good point, Em. You're right, because when you're out of it does take that little 24 hours, the wobbles, like, it's almost like, what have I done? It's that integration. And it's almost like an adjustment of the nervous system, or an adjustment of, because when we are so busy, I love your analogy there of the snow globe. It's like it's been shaken and then it's got to almost then resettle again, but it's got to be stirred up. But that's a great analogy. I love that, because that's exactly it. All stirs and then you've got to find your footing again without all of the things that we usually busy ourselves with or hide behind, they're my words, or just distract ourselves with. And then all of a sudden I'm in another country. I don't have to take care of anyone. Whew, now I've got to just sit with some of these emotions and feel a little bit uncomfortable to get comfortable again.
Agree. And that's such a valuable process.
Isn't it?
Such a value. That is where the growth is, because it's a little bit of a testing of your own mettle.
Yeah.
And that's good, particularly as we midlife.
Yeah.
And you said things can close in a little bit insular and we come very set and settled. Yeah. And to remain open and fluid, which is so important, and to embrace aging, where particularly, perimenopause, menopause, we have a lot of, for some people, moods, a little bit of anxiety comes in. Can I do this anymore? Am I capable?
Yes.
Some doubts.
What if I don't sleep? Sleep's a big thing. I cannot.
Yes.
What if I can't sleep? And to be honest, there are some women who are having, not great sleep, but going, it's okay. Look, I just know this is part of it, and I'll nap on the bus, or I'll, that's real. But what's the alternative? You stay rigid.
Yeah.
And you just then start to, shut down in a lot of ways and take things off the table, where this is where India certainly does not, you can't get it. What is it? India, what's that word? Getting off the hook? It lets you off the hook. What's that saying? My words have gone in again. My words have gone. India doesn't let you off the hook.
Yes, nice. You got it.
I got it. It's playing charades lately with my words. My vocabulary from this jolly perimenopause, my vocabulary is left. India does not let you off the hook. You have to feel, see, experience.
You do. You are reeled in hook, line and sinker, to use your analogy, aren't you? It is an experience on all levels.
Yeah.
She opens you up. Incredible India.
Oh, tremendous. Well, we are just over halfway through our trip, so there is much more magic to come. So goodness knows what it's going to be like in the next couple of days. But Emma, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your experience with everyone on our beautiful podcast. But thanks again, Emma. It's been an absolute wonderful chat, and I'm so delighted we're getting to experience India together.
Thank you, Em. It's a real privilege that you asked me. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you start your mornings? Do you wake and check social media and your emails straight away? Do you look at your to-do list? I have a very simple morning ritual hack called 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. I do this in a virtual group on Facebook a couple of mornings a week, so you are welcome to join me. That's the accountability piece. The other bit about this beautiful morning practice is it's so simple. 7 minutes of yoga, 7 minutes of meditation, and 7 minutes of flowetry. I've also written an accompanying book which has a theme each morning and a mantra. It's called 365 Days of Morning Magic. So if you are keen to join me and need someone to practice with in the morning, I am your spiritual jogging partner. Check out the link in the show notes.